Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Nadia Stearns, and I am the Medicaid Coordinator and Administrative Assistant for REC 8. And I will also be doing some of the TechBIC trainings for REC 8, of course. So today's training is going to be about Excel and creating a simple gradebook in Excel. So I'm going to, oops, sorry. I pressed the wrong button. Okay, I'm going to copy a link and I'm going to post it in the chat. And this is just a guide for you guys to use. And it's what I'm going to be following on how to create a simple worksheet in Excel, and you can use it for grading. So I don't know if everyone wants to open that up so you have it on your computer. But this is
okay, Nadia, sorry, I'm gonna interrupt you for a minute. So the link that I got, because it was last copied, was the Zoom link.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I might have done
No,
that
you're
too.
fine.
So if you can go grab that for us again
You're
on
fine.
your
Okay.
drive.
Oh, it still says Zoom. Okay. Okay, there, that one says SharePoint.
That was my fault. I'm sorry. It did
No,
that.
you're fine. Did it still say Zoom?
I just opened. Nope, I got it.
Okay, awesome. Okay.
Perfect.
So really quick, if you can have a show of hands, if you can go to reactions and raise your hand. How many of you guys are teachers? Okay. All right, I don't have any teachers. So how many of you guys use Excel regularly? Okay, so then
Not me, but I want to learn.
okay, so we're going to be starting from square one. So I'm going to share my screen with you. And we're going to start from literally square one. Okay. I had all kinds of windows open. So when you go to Excel, you're going to open up Excel. And you just want to create a blank workbook. So really quick, I want to talk to you because I know that I said we're going to create a spreadsheet. And when we first opened up Excel, it said create a workbook. So the difference between a workbook and a worksheet is each of these little, you can see down here, it says sheet one. So each of these pages that you work on and you can add is going to be a worksheet. Everything that it's combined into is going to be a workbook. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes.
So these
Okay,
are, so
I got a question. How do you create those tabs at the bottom?
okay, so that's a good one. So how you create the tabs is you can press this little add button at the, and that just adds.
Okay.
So basically it's what it's called. Your workbook, right, is your book. And each of these individual ones are your pages in your book. So you could create a grading workbook and then each sheet be a grading period. Does that make sense?
Yes, totally.
Okay. So going back to the sheet, the first thing we're going to do is we open it up. We're going to start a new one. Then you can title your spreadsheet if you want to. So to title your spreadsheet, you're going to want to take this first one. And all you do to enter information in it is click in the cell and you can put first grading period. Or probably more detailed at first 9 weeks.
Could you name your tab that too?
What do you mean, would you name your tab that?
Oh,
to?
good
Like
question.
where you go down to sheet 3 and right
Oh,
click.
yes. Okay, so that was a good point. So
rename.
yes, so that's a good point. So I'm in sheet 3. Obviously, the first 9 weeks, you don't want it to be in your third sheet. You want it to be in your first sheet. So what you can do is you can rename it by right clicking. And you can put first 9 weeks. And you see, just click in it and you can right click and push rename and then, or you can double click in it and that's how you change the name. So then we can take this worksheet and you can actually just move it into the front now.
Oh, how did you do that? Just drag, click and drag?
Just click on it and hold and drag.
Okay.
Thank you, Christine. That was a good
You're welcome.
point. So when you start, so if you want to do first 9 weeks, then you want to go here. And like I said, rename, you can do second 9 weeks. Or you can just double click in it, third 9 weeks, and so forth. And then now you've created a grade book workbook. So now starting with this first sheet, you can title it. It's up to you because the tabs are titled down here, but I always like to title my worksheets. And so you'll put that here. Then the next tab. So the grade book we're going to create is on a point system. So the next row that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put your points. So here I put points to let me know what this row is about. And you can actually put points possible. Know what you're going to be working on here. Then this next row is going to be your assignments. And then you're going to start listing the names of your students. So points possible, you're just going to list how many points, and we're just going to do a few for the sake of time. And then we're going to do, so let's actually put our assignments first. You're going to put your assignments. So if you have homework 1, homework 2, and then say it's going to be quiz 1, quiz 2, and then you have a final test. And that's all the grades that you're going to have for your 9-week period. Then you've decided homework 1 is worth 15 points, homework 2 is worth 20. This quiz is going to be worth 50 points. Nope. Okay. I pressed my num lock, so it messed up. And then this quiz is going to also be worth 50 points, and we're going to put that your final test is going to be worth 100. Then you're going to start listing your kids, and we're going to say, and
Cute names.
right, and then, okay. Because I have a boy too, so we're going to have Dak, and we're going to have, these are our students' names. So you'll just go on to list your students as you go down. So one thing that we can see really quick is that you can't read everything right here because the names come out further than the cells. So you're going to expand, and all you do is just put it on the little line till you see the T, and then you can expand it out. So now we can see all our names.
Okay.
Okay.
Or you can double click too on the line.
Okay, so you could double click, and then, so what that is, so I'll show you the difference real quick. I just want to show you the difference. When we had it here, okay, because if we think about it, right now is in your first column, your column A. So if I just do this, I just wanted to show my names, correct?
Right.
If I double click, it's gonna make the width of everything in column A, which includes this.
Right.
So
Takes
at
your
that,
whole list.
yeah, so, so say when we start to format, which we'll go over at the end after we get the information in, once we start to format, this will be my title. And I'm going to go to merge to center it. Now, at this point, I may not want this column to be that big.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, and we'll go formatting and percentage grading period in the afternoon session. So, but right now we just want to get it started. So I'm going to go ahead and move my column back because I don't want it to be that far. Okay. So then the next one that you have to have here is you have to have your total points possible. So here we're going to use a formula, and there's a couple ways to get the formula. Anytime you're going to enter a formula, you're going to always use the equals button. And I want to add all these up, correct, to get my total. So you'll put equals sum, open parentheses, and then you select the range of cells that you want to add. And on your little guidebook, that formula is actually on that page as well, if you'll see it under important formulas. So another way we could also do it is you could just click to this symbol on the right hand corner, use the down arrow, and you can use sum. And that enters the formula there for you. So that's the total points possible, right? And I'm just gonna put total because that's my total. And I'm gonna do points. So then we're gonna go in and we're just gonna enter really quick. I'm gonna give everyone here 15. So I wanna show you really quick, if everyone here scored 15 on this homework, you can just copy it down to right. All you do is, so I'll show you here. So everyone got 18. They all cheated and copied each other. So they all have 18 on. You're gonna put the corner till you get the cross and you can pull it down. And that's how you can copy, and it's not copy and paste, but that's how you can drag the same amount all the way down. So on this quiz, we're gonna give Donald Duck, we're gonna give him a 50. Mickey Mouse didn't do quite as well. And then Dak had a game, so he didn't study, so he only got 15. And Aaron is just struggling and he got 10 for that quiz, okay? So then let's say on quiz 2, Donald Duck and Mickey Mouse both got 50s. So you can, of course, enter it, copy, or you can copy and paste. So you can press in here, you can right click and you can press copy and you can paste it right there. You could also do Control C, click in the cell that you wanted to, and Control V, and that will copy and paste it as well. So, and then the football players then do as well. They got a 45 and a 35. And then on the test, let's say he got a 98, 95, and we'll say 75, and then got a 75. So again, we want to add up what their total points are. So we are going to do equals the sum, close parentheses. Then I'm just going to drag that formula down. And so as you can see, that formula will change. It'll follow the row that it's in.
So you're dragging, okay, when you were dragging, I thought that copied it. How does it know to copy the formula instead of the number?
So in Excel, because what we're saying is we want you to add up the adjacent cells or this range of cells. So I'm copying it. So it's saying, okay, B4 to F4, when I do it down, right, those are all in this same row. So it's going to do the same thing. It's going to take B5 to F5.
Oh, okay. Do you have to put that in there in the formula? Equal sum B5 to F5?
No, when I copy, Excel automatically knows, okay, we're going to just do this row of those columns.
Okay, I see it changed.
Yes, so then I'll show you something because that's another point. So now we want to get a grade, right? And a percentage. So I'm going to make another column here. And so to get the percentage grade, we need to take the total points that the student received divided by the total points possible. So to create a formula, we're going to create that formula. We got to do equals the total points that they received. And you're going to divide it by the total points possible. Okay.
Oh,
So then we want that to be in a percentage, right? So we're just going to click up here at the top and format it as a percentage.
that is really cool.
So, okay, so then we talked about, right? You said, okay, well, how does it know? So if I drag this down, I get an error. Well, I get an error because this says I want you to take the number next to it and do this and go 2 rows above it and divide by that number. Well, now this one's saying, okay, take the cell next to it, go up 2 rows and divide by that number. Well, there's not a number there, right? We want it to always divide by this number. So the way to permanently set a cell to where it's always gonna pull from that cell and still be able to copy is you're gonna put, we're gonna go here. You're gonna put number signs, because that's the original one. You're gonna put dollar signs in front of column you want it to save and in front of the row. So by doing this, I have locked in that specific cell. So the next one, so okay. Now when I drag it down, it's going to pull this number, but it's gonna go right back up to that locked cell. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's a lot.
So yeah, there's a lot of formulas, but that's the great thing about Excel is you don't have to do the math. It can do it all for you.
How do you know the formula? How do you learn what the formula is? How do you know to put a dollar sign there?
So I just need to put the dollar sign because that's something that I've learned over time.
Okay.
That's how you lock a cell.
Yeah, it anchors it.
You lock
Yes.
a cell with a dollar
Lock a cell
sign.
anchors, yes, anchors is a
Yeah.
good word too. So
Is that in the cheat sheet or do I write that down?
no, you might want to write that down. So
Okay.
to anchor or
Lock.
lock a cell, you'll put a dollar sign. But you have to do it in front of each little letter.
Don't we still have that Excel cheat book? Remember we got it years and years and years ago?
Oh, I don't know, but I know like everyone when they tune in won't have that, so we just created this little guidebook.
The guide.
Yes, or the guide sheet, I should call it, not a
Okay.
guide. So we're gonna go ahead and we copy that down, and now we can feel good that we have all those numbers. So another important formula that I think that a lot of people might use and you might use in a gradebook is an average. That you might want to get the average score for each assignment. And so you can push average. And this is how you can find other formulas too, Candace. So if you do average, are you equals average? Okay. So you can see it automatically, as you push the equal button, it's going to pull up all kinds of formulas.
Mm,
Typed in A, V, so it brought up all the formulas that start with that.
okay.
Click on each one, it kind of shows you, it gives you a little blurb of what it is. So you see this one here,
Oh,
and we're going to choose average because we want to find the average. And it says returns the average of the array of cells. So we'll click that. Just click, okay. And it automatically opens it up for us. And I want to take the average score, close parentheses. And so now I can see that how my class did.
on each assignment.
Yes.
Oh.
And then here you can see that it has 2 decimal places. Right here under number formatting, you can increase or decrease to how you want it to look. And Excel automatically rounds up. So if you're like, I don't like those decimals because the rest of them don't have decimals, then you can decrease them to show just the whole numbers.
Cool.
Yeah, so now that you kind of have your spreadsheet set up, the next thing you might want to do is format. So to make it look pretty. So like I said, so your title, I like my title to run across the whole little graph or so I'm going to, because at first I just had it here, but I want it to run against the total here. So I'm going to go back up here and you can do merge center. So it's going to merge that into one cell and put the whatever you have in it in the center. You can do merge across. It's already centered because I had it originally centered, but that will just merge all those cells and put the writing to the left alignment. So, and then you can also unmerge the cells. And then you can merge them back. So, okay, then the next thing that I want to do, I like to have all my headers here. Like I like to have them centered. Of course, this is what you want. You want to format it to what works for you visually. You may want to have everything left alignment. You may want to have everything it just depends on what you want. I like to have it all centered, and you can see here under alignment, you can do left, center, and then right. So I'm going to do all of them centered. I'm going to leave it like that really quick. And so I have all my names, left alignment. I have my scores right, and then I have my headers here centered. So one thing we're going to do, the other thing you can do to format it is you can make it look like a table. And I'm only going to take these portion as my table. I'm not going to include this section, and I'll show you why here in a minute. So to format as a table, you just simply go to format as table, and then you can choose from any one of these formats that you like. So I am a bulldog, so to
Orange.
choose orange. And you can see that automatically the headers, they're bolded. That lets you know, and then it does create, I like how it creates a different color for each.
You have
Yeah.
it formatted the way you want it before you do the table.
Yes, so you can go in whatever timeline, however you want to do that.
So like right now, let's just say I didn't like assignment centered. I want it back to the left. Can you change it once you do the table?
Yes, ma'am. You just click on it, then you go to left. So the table is going to just give you like the color schemes. Whether you want just the top dark and then you want everything, or if you don't even want a top dark, it's just going to basically give you the color schemes and how you want everything separated out. But as far as alignment, that is for you to choose. And I mean, you can still choose, say you're like, oh, I decided I want an orange top and I want this to be though yellow, because I just want to do that. You can go in and format it however you want.
I like the color scheme you chose because it makes it easier to know what line you were on,
Yes.
what
And-
kid. Yeah.
Yes, and so when you're doing this for a regular spreadsheet, it doesn't have to necessarily be a grade book. These tables come in handy when you're entering a lot of information and you're going to look down the line. So the reason, so I told you earlier, I didn't want to include the points possible. So the reason I didn't want to is because once you create a table, now you can use these, you see these little arrow tabs that came up? You can now use these to filter your information however you want it. So right now, these aren't in alphabetical order, but if I want to put them in alphabetical order, all I do is click this little arrow and sort A to Z. Now, yeah, so
They are in alphabetical order.
okay, I was so good, I put them in alphabetical order.
You did already.
So let's say I wanted to reverse it. Okay, so then go Z to A. So now they're in opposite. They're in alphabetical order, but starting with Z. And it will take the information, it'll pull this information along with it. So let's say that, okay, I did this is my grading period, and I decided that everyone that has an A, I'm going to give them a candy. Click here, and I can go to the filter. And so right now they're all selected, but I just want to see the people that received an A. So I'm going to uncheck the other ones, press OK, and now I can just see, and I can say, okay, now I'm only going to get a candy for Mickey and Don. And so by doing that, that's the reason why, and then just to clear it, then you just push clear filter, and now you're back to. That's why I didn't choose average as part of my table, and I didn't choose points possible as part of my table, because if I would have selected those, then that data would be pulled in this table. And then when I try to filter or I try to sort, that information would have been in there. And that's not information that I want in there when I'm trying to sort and filter. I don't want the total points to be counted in here. So really quick, we have a few minutes. You guys have any questions yet so far?
No, you're doing a great job.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think you're explaining it really well.
Okay, so thank you. Just really quick with the last few minutes we have, and we'll go over, like I said, in the afternoon session, we'll do percentages on a percentage basis, and then we'll cover more formatting. So really quick, I want to say that these kids didn't have anything originally. They didn't do, he missed his test. And we're just gonna put. Okay. So it depends on what you do, if you automatically put zeros in there or if you just put blank spots, but it's at the end of the grading period and now you want to see who's missing assignments. So you can select your table and you can select this portion because obviously that's the only portion that's going to have their grades. And then you can go to conditional formatting. And then you can do. Okay, so what you basically, so let me do that again, because I didn't explain as I was doing it. So what I'm gonna want to do is I want to go and highlight the cells that are empty. But you know, I only have 4 kids here, but when you've got 25, that's a lot to go through. So I'm gonna go to highlight cell rules and I'm gonna go to equal to, and I'm gonna leave it blank because I want to see the blanks. And then if I, oh, okay, so let me do this the opposite way. So say I put zeros in there. Okay, you put zeros when they don't have it. Then if I want to see which kids have zeros, because either they need to come and redo that assignment or whatever the reason is, you go to equals 0. And it's going to highlight all your kids that have zeros. So then you can go in and you can say, Donald, I need you to come in. You're missing a homework assignment. We still got to figure out time to do that quiz and that test. And that's just an easier way for you to pinpoint certain information. And you, I mean, and you can do it with any other information. Like say you want to say, okay, you have a grading policy that says, if you make a C or less, you can come and redo your homework or redo that paper. Then you can select them, go to conditional formatting. This time you'll do the less than. And you'll say, okay, anyone with less than a 70, but I want them, because you did the other ones, I want them just to be yellow, right? I don't want it to be red because, well, in this one, so I want,
Wasn't a 50, right?
yes. Well, yeah, so obviously, because I have the points, it would be different, but if we were doing, okay, so let's do this. Let's undo that. That was a bad example. Let's just do the test, okay?
It's good to show the undo too, like.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
if
so-
You did something,
Mhm.
okay, I see that.
Yes, and then you just undo there and it gets rid of everything you did, which is really good.
Okay,
So let's say that I want to say everyone that got a 70 or below can come retake their test. And I need to see, so we could do the conditional formatting and we could go to highlight cell rules, do less than a 70, and we're going to do them yellow. So now I see, okay, I have one kid and it's Donald Duck, and I can see everyone that did less than 70. Another good way to find that out would be just go to filter and then you can, you know, filter, but then you
oh,
filter through every single kid's grade. This one, if you've got 25 kids, that's the easiest way to kind of pinpoint them out.
I could see that working on the other end too, like if you want to see kids that made all A honor roll or something like
Yes.
that. You could go
Yes.
for the kids that have above a 90 or. Yeah,
So there's a lot of things. And so here, another formatting thing that I would do is I would probably bold this information and then you can just increase the font size. And then I'll get, you know, real fancy and maybe I'll put a box around it and you can just choose your border. And now I feel like I have a little bit more of an outline that you can see this is the title. But there's a lot of things that you can do, a lot of formulas you can use. And like I said, in that guidebook, I put the ones that we used here. And then you can format it to visually help you. And you can do a lot of calculations that you don't have to do manually. So there's less room for human error on those. But this is basically how you would set up a simple spreadsheet. And this is how you could tailor it to use it as a gradebook using the point system. So I
That's
looked at
great.
1201. Do you guys have any questions before we wrap it up?
I don't. I just wonder, Nadia, if you'll put the link in the chat again for anybody who joined later. And
Yes,
that way
ma'am.
they can open their little how-to guide.
Yeah, so I'll put it again one more time. And then, like I said, if you have, even if they're formatting questions, or, you're just interested to see maybe some other formulas that we use, because with the percentage method, we'll use a couple more formulas that we didn't use here. Then you can come back into the PM session, which starts at 4. And I can also put that link into the chat in case you need it as well. If that's it, then I'm gonna go ahead and end it, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. I learned a lot about Excel.
Okay. So I need to put the guidebook. Let me stop recording.